Good afternoon. We're back with more Marvel Champions, and today will be Miles Morales versus Sandman on Expert difficulty. We're starting out a campaign on Expert difficulty. We'll see how far Miles can make it. Maybe he makes it all the way through. If not, we'll try out Ghost Spider. So we'll get the deck shuffled up, and then we'll check out the campaign setup instructions. So for Sandman, we need Public Outcry. And we need to flip to the expert side, which has 3 notoriety counters. After a minion or side scheme is defeated, remove 1 notoriety counter from here, and it has a extra encounter card. Uh-oh, that's not good. Ugh. Okay, let's see what the other setup instructions are. We got Smear Campaign Treachery into the encounter deck. We got one of these community service quests chosen randomly, so we need a random number 1 to 5. Number is 2. Goes into the deck. And then for the expert campaign, place 2 additional sand counters on the city streets environment. Resolve its surging sands. 2 additional counters, and then Surging Sands places 1 counter, and then we discard 7 cards from the deck. What other setup instructions do we have? When revealed, resolve Surging Sands. Okay, so that's going to be 8, and we take 3 indirect damage when an acceleration token comes out. Yikes. So Public Outcry is a campaign card. We may be looking at another unplayable expert campaign. What's on the other side? An acceleration token? Jeez. Well, here's the thing. If I was playing this scenario standalone without this Public Outcry card, I don't think Smear Campaign or the side scheme matter that much, but if I was playing Sandman standalone and I wanted to play on heroic difficulty, I would deal myself 1 additional encounter card per turn. That would be 2 encounter cards every turn. Playing this campaign on expert campaign mode means 2 encounter cards per turn until I remove 3 notoriety counters by defeating 3 side quests and or minions, which could take a while. Basically means we start out the game on Heroic 1 difficulty in the expert campaign. And currently in my progression, I can do Heroic with the cards that are available to me. I can do Heroic 1 quests up to about Drang, the first boss of Guardians, but anything harder than that is a struggle, needs a lot of luck. And if we're talking about, let's see what the setup instructions are for the other scenarios. Is Public Outcry in play for every one of them? Yep. For Venom, yes. And also 1 face down boost card on each identity. For Mysterio, we have Public Outcry again. Venom starts in play, which is yet another encounter card. So we start out with 3 encounter cards. Are you serious? For the expert campaign, we're starting with Heroic 2 difficulty. You have to deal 2 more encounter cards to set your hit point dial to its value. Shuffle the top 2 cards of the encounter deck into your deck. I'm just reading the expert instructions for the scenarios that come after this one. Scenario 4, you start with Venom and Public Outcry again. I think we're looking at an expert campaign that's unplayable in solo. So this encounter boost card, it doesn't mean 1 extra encounter card per player. It just means 1 extra encounter card. Let's see. City Streets, exhaust a character you control to remove sand counters from here equal to that character's attack once per round per player. So in a 4-player game, you could remove 8 counters per round. And what do we start out with? Is it 4 counters per player? No, it doesn't scale up the sound counters for additional players. but it does limit how many you can take off. So this is terribly balanced for solo play. In a 4-player game, you would increase your encounter cards by only 25% of that which you would increase. So if you're going to play Heroic 1 in a 4-player game, you would increase your encounter cards by 4. Public Outcry increases it by 1. So you get 25% of the way to Heroic 1 if you're playing a 4-player game. If you're playing a solo game, you get 100% of the way, because it's still one additional encounter card, but that's doubling your encounter cards for solo, if that makes sense. So these challenges don't scale up with the number of players, which means that they are terribly balanced for solo. I think this campaign is unplayable in solo on expert difficulty. We'll try it out with Miles and with Ghost Spider, and if it is unplayable, then we'll make custom campaign rules for the expert mode. This is really bizarre because Rise of the Red Skull I thought was very well balanced for solo play. The expert campaign was difficult but doable. I failed a few times with Spider-Woman, but ultimately was able to succeed, which I enjoyed greatly and thought was very well balanced. Mad Titan Shadow, same thing. I failed with the 2 heroes that were included in the campaign, but I was able to get it done with Protection Iron Man. I thought the challenge was good. Would scale up with heroic difficulty if you wanted to. Galaxy's Most Wanted was garbage, but fixable with just removing the expert campaign additions, because when you're going from standard to expert, you really don't need any additional challenge aside from the more difficult villain. Like, why add an additional encounter card? Why add an additional Surging Sands plus 2 Sands encounters? 2 Sands counters, that is not needed. For expert, you could add that additional challenge for like a heroic mode, but you don't need any additional challenge for expert other than increasing the difficulty of the boss. This does not make sense to me. It's almost like 2 different teams are developing expansion boxes, and team number 1 did Rise of the Red Skull and Mad Titan Shadow, and team number 2 did Galaxy's Most Wanted and Sinister Motives, and they have very different ideas about how to do the difficulty for the campaign. But anyway, I'm going to try it out. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe these encounter cards are just really easy, and that's why we're starting out with 2 or even 3 in the later scenarios. So we'll test it, right? But my guess is we're looking at an unplayable campaign on expert difficulty. But let's get started, and we'll see. We're playing Leadership Miles Morales. And probably if this campaign does prove to be unplayable in solo play on expert, what we're going to do is we're still going to face the expert bosses. We're just going to remove the extra instructions. We're not going to do the place 2 additional sand counters. We're not going to do the additional encounter card for Public Outcry. We'll still do the 3 notoriety counters instead of 2. We'll just do the play it as if it just has a boost icon instead. And my guess is it'll be pretty playable that way. And that would have been an easy instruction to include in the campaign instructions. Just say, if solo, do X. If otherwise, do X. Do Y. If you don't want to design the cards so that they scale up and down, you can just design your instructions so they scale up and down. That would have been easy to do. But making the campaign like a reasonable challenge for a 4-player group, but unplayable for solo, makes no sense to me as a design philosophy. But anyway, let's withhold judgment until we've tried it. So we need to draw our hand. I can't remember now if I shuffled or not after I climbed down off my soapbox. Okay, I'm trying out Reinforced Suit in this one. I think it could be really good with Spider-Man, with his ability to ready a Web Warrior. But let's get rid of Arachnobatics, I think, since I don't have any stuns or confuses in hand. And then we'll get started. We'll go ahead and flip to Spider-Man. We'll use Power of Leadership to get out Web Shooter, and Genius and Web Shooter to get out Ghost Spider. When Ghost Spider leaves play, search your deck. Yeah, okay. And then I think we'll put Use energy for a reinforced suit on her. We'll use Spider-Man to thwart for 2. We'll use Ghost Spider to exhaust a character, remove sand counters from here equal to that character's attack, so we can drop down to 6. And then we'll draw 5 cards. And so we got 1 threat incoming, and then we got 1 attack incoming. He's going to deal indirect damage if he attacks you. So you would not be an ally, but if he does attack you, he deals indirect damage. We'll have Spider-Man exhaust to tank this attack. So the attack will be for 4, that's 2 damage. And then we have 2 encounter cards incoming, which are going to be Sand Slide. When revealed, place 2 sand counters on city streets, then resolve Surging Sands. If at least 1 Sandman card was discarded this way, you are stunned. Well, that kind of rules out the encounter cards being a joke, right? So 2 sand counters, then 1 sand counter, then 9 cards discarded from the deck. Almost 0 chance that no Sandman card would be discarded that way, so we do get a stun. And we get 1 more encounter card, which is Sand Clone. And that is X is equal to the number of sand counters on city streets. That's going to be a 9 attack minion. And we don't have the ability to remove 8 sand counters per round. We just have the ability to remove 2, basically. Oh my gosh. What the heck, man? Alright. Well, on to the hero phase. Let's get out Web of Life and Destiny. I don't think there's any allies I could use Make the Call with. That ideally would be used with Spider-Man. Let's use it to get out Defense Mechanism. Do I want a double life here? Nah, I can't use a strength resource to do it, so probably not. Or I could use a wild resource from the web shooter to do it. I could just use it to ready and get the stun off. But I can't kill this sand clone. So my reinforced suit's going to go to waste because Ghost Spider's got to tank that attack. Well, let's double life using a web shooter token. Flip to alter ego, and then we're just going to shuffle double life back in, and then we'll flip back. And we'll get the stun off. And we'll go ahead and remove 2 sand counters, and then we'll draw 4. I'll probably get rid of Avengers Mansion. After your hero uses a basic power, haven't done that yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's Spider-Man. So let's go 1 threat, and we've got an attack incoming from Sandman. That's going to have to go on Spider-Man. Attack for 4, so 2 damage once again, and the Sand Clone's going to have to attack Ghost Spider. So when Ghost Spider leaves play, search your deck for an identity-specific event. We probably want the stunning one, the web shot. Then we can also draw a card with Web of Life and Destiny. And then we've got 2 encounter cards. Now or never, place 1 acceleration token on the main scheme or exhaust a character you control and spend 1 resource. I have no choice. I don't have any characters to exhaust. 3 indirect damage. Common Criminal, which surges into Sandstorm. Deal X indirect damage among players where X is equal to the number of sand counters on city streets. So that ends this attempt. That wasn't even close. Let's try Ghost Spider. I've played a number of other quests with Ghost Spider on Heroic 1 difficulty. I've defeated Drang with her, which I wasn't able to defeat with other champions. I've defeated... what was the other one? Let me get reset here with Ghost Spider. Okay, here we got the Protection Ghost Spider deck that I used to defeat Absorbing Man on Heroic 1 and also Drang on Heroic 1, and those are new progression. That's new progression for me. I have not been able to defeat those scenarios with other heroes on that difficulty, but Ghost Spider was able to do it. I like this hero a lot. We'll try her out versus these brutal campaign, expert campaign instructions, but my guess is this campaign is unplayable on expert. And we'll have to house rule it in order to make it playable, as was the case for Galaxy's Most Wanted. This campaign would have been a very easy recommendation, and the easiest recommendation of my life, this campaign box, if the difficulty was similar to, or if the campaign was similar to Rise of the Red Skull or to Mad Titan's Shadow. But now I have to add the caveat that the player cards are extremely good and fun to play, but the expert campaign is unplayable on solo. At least I think it probably is, but we'll give it another attempt. That Miles Morales is a pretty good champion, but he just got dumpstered by Sandman. We still have to do these setup instructions with the +2 and then Surging Sands for the expert mode. So that's going to be 15 total cards discarded. After all of the stuff is done. 3 notoriety tokens. We didn't even remove 1 in the last attempt, so we'll draw 6. Got a web bracelet, that's great. We don't need Across the Spider-Verse right away, and Flappable is very good. So the rest of the hand is very good. So let's get started. Let's get out Power Protection for Silk, and then we can remove a Treachery from the encounter deck. Shadow of the Past it is. Let's go Jump, Flip, and Expert Defense for Web Bracelet. We'll keep Unflappable and do that next round. We'll use Silk to thwart Ghost Spider to remove sand counters, and then we'll draw 5. Oh, no, sorry, draw 4. So 1 threat, 1 attack from Sandman. And we actually don't have a defense event. That's pretty unlucky. We could just have... That's pretty rare that I don't have one. We'll just have the attack go on Silk then, so it's going to be for 4. Then we got 2 encounter cards. Master Plan. There may not be many side schemes left after all the cards that have been discarded. Dirt Trap, okay. And does that side scheme get revealed? Yeah, so does it surge? No. But we resolve Surging Sands again. Twice after defeating this Dirt Trap. Yikes. Well, these encounter cards are definitely not a joke, so this campaign is horribly imbalanced for solo play. When revealed, place 2 sand counters on City Sands, then resolve Surging Sands, and we get a stun. So it's going to be 9 cards discarded. Here we are on turn 1, and we're almost into an acceleration token on the main quest, and this is only a 1-phase quest. Well, alrighty, we're on to the player turn. We can go... We don't need healing. We can go Unflappable for other Unflappable. We can go Martyr for hard to ignore. Try to do something about these sand counters, and then we'll draw 4. So 1 threat, 1 attack from Sandman. Once again, I don't have an event. Oh, did I forget to take damage last round? I think I should have taken 1 damage, right? From the attack. Anyway, this round think I may have forgotten to exhaust Ghost Spider as well, so I don't think I should have taken... I'm so used to having an event that I can play. I don't think I should have taken 2 tokens off of City Streets. Ghost Spider should have been exhausted. But this round, we're probably not going to be able to proc on Flappable and Hard to Ignore, unfortunately. We'll still have Ghost Spider tank, so she takes 1 damage. Then I can Phantom Flip here, and I probably will. Get rid of Dirt Trap. That means 11 cards discarded. We're going to run out after 1, so that's an acceleration token. And that's going to be 3 indirect. And Web Bracelet will activate. And then we got 2 encounter cards incoming. Worried Father. Where is... Oh, why am I looking at the encounter deck? It's in my deck. Where are you, George Stacy? Okay, attached to Worried Father, and then Master Plan, which will go find a side quest. Dirt Trap again. Okay. We did remove Dirt Trap once, so that's 1 notoriety counter off. And then we're on to the hero phase. We'll use Web of Life and Destiny. Don't have the resources to get Miles Morales out. I could Phantom Flip. I should have readied Ghost Spider after I did that last round, so I could go like Ghost Spider to thwart. It's gonna be... Oh, I forgot to resolve Surging Sands again, actually, so 11 cards discarded. And then Dirt Trap means resolving it twice. So 12 and then 13 cards. Oh my gosh. Acceleration token number 2. 3 damage. Well, we can Phantom Flip after that. Drop the threat off. And then try and do something about this. I mean, all you can do is laugh at it, right? This is unplayable. This will likely be the last turn. I didn't really draw a defense event again, so this is really a terrible draw. But I was not going to win this anyway, so... Ghost Spider will defend. 1 damage. So we're alive. 2 encounter cards. Smear Campaign in Expert Mode, this card gains Surge. Sure, of course it does. If Public Outcry is in play, place 2 notoriety counters on it, then remove this from the game. Yeah, let's extend the heroic mode. Sand Clone, 11 attack. Common Criminal, which surges. Do another Sand Clone. Okay. Well, we can call it at that point. The Smear Campaign a Treachery? Yeah, so I guess we can Pirouette and punch that. With like those 2, we Pirouette and punch. Ready, so we don't have to do the notoriety stuff. And then we can also deal 4 damage with Pirouette and punch. Where did it go? Oh, it's on the table still. Deal damage to the villain, so 4 damage. So we're on the board. And then we're on, and then we can also draw a card with Web Bracelet. there's expert defense. Okay. And then we need to probably just play these to get another web bracelet out. But I don't have any way to take out either of these sand clones, so that will do it. Yikes. Well, we're definitely going to house rule it. I could just play against the scenarios individually on expert mode, of course. But I would like to establish some house rules for a playable campaign, because I think that's of some use to players watching, because there are players, a lot of players, who will buy this on campaign to play it solo, and or maybe even with 2 players this might be unplayable on expert. And that's just not good design unless your design philosophy is consistent. Like, if every campaign was designed so that you could play on standard difficulty, but you couldn't play on expert difficulty until you acquire better cards, like future-proofing it, that would be fine as a philosophy. That's what Lord of the Rings LCG did. You could beat these standard quests, but you couldn't usually do the nightmare quests without additional cards, which I have no issue with if that's the design philosophy. The problem is that the first box, Rise of the Red Skull, the campaign was beatable on expert. Maybe not on heroic, but that's fine. So the standard that they established was standard difficulty you could do with just the pre-constructed decks, which is great. That's a good philosophy. Expert difficulty you could do with cards that were available to you at the time of release, of the expansion's release. So if you were playing using cards up to Rise of the Red Skull, you could beat Rise of the Red Skull using your expanded collection on expert difficulty. That's great. And heroic mode was the future-proof one. You may not be able to beat all the quests on heroic mode, but at some point in the future you probably will be able to, as more difficult cards come along. That is an excellent design philosophy for expansion boxes. Then we had Galaxy's Most Wanted. Not only could you not beat the campaign on expert difficulty using an expanded collection, you couldn't even beat the campaign on standard difficulty using the pre-constructed decks. So you actually couldn't beat all the content in the expansion using the included player cards. Awful. Just no way around it. Then we had Sinister Motives. Playable on standard using the pre-con decks. Beatable on expert with your expanded collection. That's great. Heroic mode probably needs future cards. That's just fine. Good expansion. Well done. Now we have this one. It may be fine in multiplayer. These challenges don't scale up in multiplayer. It's 1 encounter card whether you're playing with 1 player or 4. With 4 you have the ability to remove more of the sands each round, up to 8. You can only do 2 with a solo player. So maybe in multiplayer it's fine, but in solo it's unplayable with an expanded collection. And that is inconsistent from expansion to expansion, and that is not good design. There's no way around that, but we're going to house rule it. So I'm going to end this video, and then I'm going to start a playthrough with Miles Morales using house rules of the Sinister Motives campaign. But Ghost Spider, like I said, using this exact deck, I defeated Drang, Brotherhood of Badoon on Heroic 1 difficulty, and Absorbing Man on Heroic 1 difficulty, and I'm working on others as well. She's very, very good hero, an S-tier hero, and she just got dumpstered by this expert campaign mode. Wasn't even close. Not even close at all. So definitely needs house rules to play on against the expert bosses in a campaign format. And that's what we'll do. So thank you for watching.